just kind of sit here like an idiot waiting for it to go live on YouTube. Let me bring this in, and okay, cool, we're live. I still don't have an intro, anyone. I'm usually just here waiting for the YouTube website to show me that I'm live, but I'm here with Jordan this weekend. Jordan, I'm very happy to have you here. I think this is going to be a really fun discussion about Dover this week. And before I bring you in, anything that's on the screen right now is values, my projected values for certain players and certain drivers back here to at least illustrate my points that we'll probably make later throughout this video. But a lot of people enjoyed it in the video that I made Friday, so that's what we're going to be looking at on the screen. But yeah, Jordan, where do you want to start? Do you want to start just talking about the assumption that everybody's going to kind of go with Denny Hamlin, Truex, Larson, these three guys in and out of a bunch of lineups?
Yeah, so I think, the biggest discussion today is going to be whether you go two of Truex, Hamlin, Larson, and then try to, fit in some of those back markers, or if you go with a more balanced lineup. Because when I was building lineups this morning, I was actually landing on quite a bit more balanced lineups than I thought I would.
Yeah, so with me, I'm only going to be playing probably one or two lineups this week, so I feel like I have a gun to my head to try and choose who I need to play, but I'm seeing the balanced lineups pop up within 10, 20 points of my highest projected lineups, like a punt play. So like if you wanted to go like Truex and then go to Harvick, or Truex and Elliott or something like that, like I'm seeing those lineups. I think they have a good chance of working here. I feel like it's stars and scrubs this weekend, just because you can have Truex or Hamlin or Larson each get like 120 DraftKings points, and just needing them to be in your lineups forces you to stars and scrubs.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people are going to land on Josh Berry too, because of the unknown factor of and his hype in Xfinity. And, at 5,300, it really gives you the opportunity to stack Truex and Larson, or Truex and Hamlin, or Larson and Hamlin into a lineup. Plus, that place differential of guys like Almirola there in the middle, or Custer. But, with that mindset, I think you're a tournament guy. You're not, you have that, pivot mindset. I think there's ton of opportunity there to come off of, Almirola and grab a Blaney or grab a Bell. I don't think enough people are talking about Ryan Blaney this week. He's only $8,400.
So like, these are my projections that I was working with my lineups. And so I see Eric Almirola hitting value with 43 points, but I also see like Bell being a clear, pivot. I have him slightly projected more. I think Bell does get some fast laps. We've seen him constantly throughout this year kind of walk his way into like 5 Dominator points a race right now. And so right now I got Bell projected for more than Eric Almirola, and I think he's going to come in a way lower ownership because everybody's going to be chasing the that place differential. I also have Blaney projected for 52 points. And so I think Blaney and Bell are kind of falling by the wayside, whereas everybody's trying to go towards Custer, towards Eric Almirola, in a race where I don't think those cars are really going to match what they've shown in the past, like Cole Custer having 11, 10 place finishes last year. I don't think he even gets in the top 18 this race.
Oh no, I'd be surprised. I mean, he's finished better than 18th once this year, or no, his best finish is 18th this year, and that was at Daytona. Yeah, I definitely, I love pivoting. I love Austin Dillon as much as I don't like the guy personally. I love Austin Dillon. Pivot off of Custer, get to go to Dillon. And then it's all working those lower price guys. I actually landed on a lot of Briscoe today too.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
That Briscoe is rough. That whole 6K range, like I said on the Dirty Air podcast, and I said in the video earlier this week, I really hate the 6K range, because it seems to me like Ross Chastain is the play, because he's been performing way better than everybody else in 6K range. And like, I don't know. I get very depressed thinking of the 6K range, because like I said, I think it's just Ross Chastain or really playing like bums like Briscoe. Like I'm really worried that Briscoe falls like 23rd, 22nd. And at that point, anybody who plays Ross Chastain and Ross Chastain just holds his position, he'll beat you head to head. Let me see.
What do you think of Suarez?
I'm being harsh on him. I think he performs better on a lot of the intermediate tracks that are like flatter, like Las Vegas comes to mind, kind of Kansas, kind of these types of situations in the 550 package to where he can stay out. And we've seen him stay out, and we've seen him lead laps, on like a long run. And I think that's elevating his DraftKings points because he hasn't been running that well. And I think he struggles here yet again. So I think Suarez, Custer, Briscoe, Eric Jones, I think they all kind of fight for like 22nd the whole race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 750 horsepower package this year, Suarez has an average running position of 22. So not doing anything great. He starts what,
24th?
Yeah. I do think a lot of people are going to land on him though. Just that place differential.
Yeah, and I think place differential's really clouding a lot of judgment this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really, if I had to predict ownership, I think outside of Larson and Truex and all those guys, I think Eric Almirola, Custer, and Suarez tend to gravitate the ownership in their price ranges.
Yeah, so my projected ownership today: Truex, Larson up top, and then Almirola third, Hamlin fourth, Custer fifth, and Suarez sixth. Mm-hmm. That's what my projections ended up at. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the builds.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why the Christopher Bells, the Ryan Blaney's, the Austin Dillons, just being overweight on those and a little bit underweight on those Almirolas and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned in your second video this week that Blaney's been running better than I think we kind of all are paying attention to based on like last year how he ran. Like I like Bell. I like Bell and Blaney a lot this weekend. Like I would much rather try and focus on them versus the 6K range.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very surprised because also these tracks that they've ran the 750 at haven't been Ryan Blaney's best tracks at all. So for him to have the fourth best average running position is noteworthy at a track like Dover, where again he hasn't been great at, but if he hasn't been great, he's starting seventh. It's hard to see his ownership that high. But again, you're getting Ryan Blaney $8,400. It's hard for me not to be like, double the field on him or try to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I feel like the player pool is smaller than people are realizing. I guess my rankings are still from when I did this on Friday. But if I was ranking people who I actually want to play, it would be anybody who's getting me a high 4 value and certainly a 5 value. Everybody else, like Newman, I don't have interest in. I know I'm not going to play Dylan. If you're playing a lot of lineups, I'm sure you get to Dylan. I'm personally not playing him in the lineups that I'm at. Keselowski, I'm most likely not going to. I just don't see that working in the lineup. I'll probably be on Chastain. De Benedetto, I'm still deciding between De Benedetto, Chastain, and Stenhouse for me. Wallace, I don't see him working here, and I'll let you kind of talk after I show these on the screen. But these are the guys I'm kind of looking at, And I feel like the pool is extremely small this week, and I seem to be on guys that people aren't on. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
I feel like everybody this week is on the same guys. Like everybody I've listened to, everybody I've read, it's all the same. It's all pretty much, here's what we got and here's what we expect. And it's been a while since everybody's been, like that in agreement. So with that being said, again, how my brain works with DraftKings is when everyone's zigging, I zag and I go a different route. And I think that's what I'm going to end up doing today.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to be in this. I don't think it'll be nearly as bad as the Priest chalk last week, but him at 41% and then close to 61% in certain single entries, like that's just disgusting in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's I don't see anybody like being as chalky as him. I mean, part of me thinks it's Chastain because everybody seems to be in the 6K range. And I mean, I feel like Chastain's going to come in lower than I think he will just because I believe you should put him in every lineup. But that's just me.
Yeah, it's hard. That price range in there, I think it's going to be pretty equal. You know, there's definitely no like clear cut favorite. Um, I have LaJoy projected the lowest in that range, as well as McDowell. But everyone else I have, projected between 17 and 24%. I mean, they're all right there. So at that point, it's probably, if it's just getting the right combination then, and then figuring out between your top guys and the mid range, Almirola, Bell, De Benedetto. I don't think we talked about De Benedetto. You just pointed him out a little bit ago. I don't know what to think about him today.
When I went into the week, I liked him probably too much. I was like, man, he's going to fly through this field. He loves this package. Dover is very similar. I'm not leaning on Bristol a ton, but I'm like, this fits into De Benedetto's wheelhouse. And then I kept looking at other guys and who actually has a chance to get a top 15. And I see Matt barely hitting a 5x value. Like right now I got him for 4.9, and I think that might be, his ceiling. What do I got him projected for to finish at? I'm giving Matt today, I'm giving him a 12th place finish. And that's still just short of a 5x.
Right.
At that point we're really stretching it to where I'd just rather play Stenhouse for a much cheaper price tag.
Yeah, or Bell, 200 above him, who Bell should have top 5 potential and, fastest laps. Yeah, I think you're right there with De Benedetto finishing about 12th. That's someone that not a lot of people are talking about, though, as far as consistent finishes. Now that I'm looking at, his results, top 14 and what, 8 of the last 9 or 7 of the last 8. I mean, that's solid, but still, that $7,800 is probably too much.
And then we also need to look at the context of those finishes. I won't count Darlington because he finished 19th there, but like 4th, that's the whole Kansas situation.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, there's like 4 wrecks. A lot of guys change a lot of positions. People finish where they shouldn't have. So a 4th place finish there, 5th place at Dega, Richmond at 9th in this package. I think that fits his wheelhouse more, that type of track. Whereas, he finished 12th at Martinsville, 13th at Bristol Dirt, if you actually want to kind of consider that. 11th at Atlanta, I don't see De Benedetto getting a top 10 like I originally thought he would, and on Wednesday of this week.
Right. Not without, a few wrecks of the big guys. So his average finish in the 750 this year is 11th best, and his average running position is 13th best. So right there in that 12 range. But yeah, I just don't see, and I don't see the wrecks happening today, especially not. There were quite a few in the Xfinity race yesterday, wasn't there? I didn't pay close attention.
Man, they this whole year, the Truck Series and Xfinity, they just turn every week into a wreck fest. I don't know how these teams are still operating.
It never fails that whoever wrecks in Xfinity is in my lineup. I usually do like 2 lineups in Xfinity every single time.
And it's always those guys. Yeah. Do you have any interest in Half or Ware, like at all? Are you gonna have any exposure to those guys?
See, what's crazy is like my projections actually like picking those duds a bit, like Bilicki, Smithley, just because it tries to force fit, Truex and Larson or Truex and Hamlin into pretty much every lineup. But like in my head, I can't do it. If I'm gonna take a punt, I'm gonna go either Josh Berry, which I don't like doing that because, like I said, I feel like too many. Like he's still starting 29th, and he's still never been in a Cup car. Like, don't get too excited about Josh Berry today. But Anthony Alfredo, as much as people hate on him, the guy, he could move up, 2-3 positions. At 5,500, if he finishes 24th and allows you to get those studs, and then 3 mid-range guys or 2 mid-range guys and a Chastain, I could see that working. But it's really hard for me. If I'm any lineups that I hand build today, I'm not going below Josh Berry.
I got you. because everybody kind of knows me as a punt guy. I always play at least 1 or 2 lineups with a punt play in there. And like you said, this week, the optimizers just kind of keep wanting to shove in, a lot of the punt plays. If the race goes the way I expect it to, where, 2 or 3 guys really get over 100 DraftKings points, then you're kind of forced in that window. My argument for, kind of really considering them is like, I'm giving Alfredo 26th today. That's 17 points. I'm giving Quinn Hoff 34th. And that's 8 points. Like, do I really want to pay almost $1,000 more for 10 points, especially like if I can't afford Alfredo? Typically, when I'm playing the guys I want to, the first guy I can afford is Josh Berry. So
yeah,
I feel like I'm having to really change my lineup to get, an additional like 12 or 10 or 13 points from a guy like Priest or LaJoy or Alfredo. And that's kind of why I'm kind of writing them off, is because the builds that I'm working with, I just can't get to them.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. My I don't know why I have Bilicki projected at 11 points. And it's probably because he starts 37th. Get a couple wrecks.
Yeah.
He finished 33rd last week.
Yeah, we're back to the punt review on Sunday morning. So like if you look back at Bilicki, I mean, people hate when I talk about these guys, but like if you look at Bilicki, his last 3 finishes on actual racetracks: Darlington, Kansas, Richmond, 33rd, 39th, 37th. Smithley didn't run Darlington last weekend, 33rd at Kansas, 35th at Richmond. Quinn Hoff, 30th last week at Darlington, 37th at Kansas, and then 34th at Richmond. And once you start getting higher, like BJ McLeod, I mean, I like him, I like his team, but he can't do anything. Like, if we're punting, we're kind of forced to look at how Smithley and Bilicki there.
Yeah. I'd love McLeod, if he started like 37th, because that's a solid 31st place team, and they're definitely outperforming, but starting 31st, it's hard to take him. Smithley now catches my eye now that you rattled off those finishes, starting 36th. Is that I always get their car numbers confused. Is he in the same cars? Do you know?
He should be in the 52. Let me look.
Yeah, Bilicki's in the 52 and Smithley is in the 53.
I always I pay more attention to the sponsors that they run, or the color of the car. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but that's how I pay attention to who does better.
It looks like, judging by the starting lineup, none of the Ware cars are sponsored this week.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Bilicki always has a sponsor, but that car is probably the worst of the group. Let's see. Smithley has a florist on there, so that's great to see at Dover. I think Hoff is the only guy you can go to if you're down there.
Yeah, that's I can't do that. I can't.
Okay, so let me try and think of how you're going about this without giving out total lines. So I would imagine you're probably doing one of the Truex, Hamlin, Larson then. And then going to Blaney and Bell and people like that.
Yeah, so a lot of lineups I did this morning were alternating between Truex, Larson, Hamlin. I got pretty much equal exposure on those 3.
Yeah.
And then I got 20% of my lineups that have Truex and Larson in it. And then, then it's staying in that $65 or $6,000 range, and then throwing in a Almirola or a Custer.
Yeah, I think I hate to say it. People hate whenever I say this, but if you're playing enough lineups, you're going to end up on the guy who leads laps. But this really seems like this type of week of 10 lineups, 20 lineups, like that $4.20 max. I think that'd be a lot of fun this week. If I was putting a lot of time to that, like you just said, they're mixing in and out single lineups that have just tricks in there, mixing and matching with Hamlin and Larson. I'm just concerned that Hamlin and Truex run away with this. Sorry, I talked over you there.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, see, this is giving me total Richmond vibes. And I remember back at Richmond, I had such difficulty taking Truex and Hamlin because they started first and second, and it never works out. And then, of course, Richmond it did. But so you're thinking you like Hamlin over Larson. I feel like you're about the only one that likes Hamlin over Larson today,
which is strange. So, and I'll start looking at questions in the chat. I just want to get this out of the way. So I'm mainly looking at who has the higher chance of getting fast laps not leading. And I know Larson had to go through the field quite a few times at Darlington this year. But if you look at, and I looked at this last night on my live stream, is if you're looking for who's safer or more likely to get at least, a small amount of fast laps when they're not leading, it's Hamlin over Larson. It seems to be, yeah, sure, Larson had the big day at Las Vegas and Atlanta, but outside of those, it's been Hamlin being more consistent of fast laps throughout different races.
Yeah.
Even when he's not leading.
750 horsepower package, Truex at 229 fastest laps, Hamlin at 221, and then Larson's a distant third at 87, which I think a lot of those were at Phoenix when he had that all-star car and, had to come up through the field 8 times. Yeah, he had 46 fastest laps at Phoenix. So you take out Phoenix, and he's down to, 41 over 3 races.
Mm-hmm.
And then going, back to Richmond, that was another race that everybody was projecting Larson super high, and him and Chase Elliott, they sucked the first 2/3 of that race. And it feels like Larson is struggling with this 750 package.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to, if you're comparing Bristol, if you're throwing in Bristol, which I feel like a lot of people consider the closest track this week, Larson put up great numbers at Bristol the last time he raced there. And then obviously put the great numbers up at Dover as well when he was in his Ganassi car. So if you're going off history, I think you have to lean Larson. But again, I hate going Truex and Hamlin starting 1-2, but I think that's the play this week, strategy wise at least.
Yeah, that's really what I've zeroed in on, and man, it just I think both those guys lead laps here. I really do. What do I have? Let me look at projections right now. I'm giving Truex, and this I had to dial it down because I just wanted to keep throwing Truex into everything. But I have Truex with 150 laps led, 90 fast laps. I'm giving Hamlin 120 laps led and 84 fast laps. And then I have Larson with 80 laps led and 60 fast laps. Like, that's obviously the race could go to say Larson gets lead and he just walks away with it, or Hamlin gets lead and he just walks away with it. But this is kind of what I've zeroed in on.
Yeah, so I got Truex at 140 almost, and then Larson and Hamlin at about 70 laps led each, and then Truex at 60 fastest laps, Larson at 45, and Hamlin at 33.
So we're pretty close actually on laps led projection.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And earlier in the week I was all over Larson. I was like, I know I'm playing Larson, but man, I think it's Hamlin. I think it's Hamlin and Truex.
I agree. And one guy that I'm going to definitely be overweight on today is Kyle Busch. Again, going back to last year, he sucked every week, and you look at Bristol, and he had 111 fastest laps, I think, between the two Bristol races last year. He's been picking up speed here lately. If he gets out in the lead, I like that play at 10,000 for Kyle Busch for sure. Yeah,
the thing that I was considering when looking at guys outside of the leader getting fast laps is, sure, Bristol's this is why I don't really like comparing Bristol and Dover, because Bristol, if you have a fast car, you're going to make it through the field, whereas if Dover, it's super hard to pass. And if you get side by side with anyone, your chance of a fast lap is completely gone. And if you're dealing with lap traffic, if you're dealing with dirty air, even with the small spoiler that they're using here, like you're having to check up to either not hit the wall, or if somebody's on your inside to not slide down on them, or if you're on the inside of someone, not slide up into them. And I think Kyle's only route to being optimal would be to click off a bunch of fast laps, because I don't think Kyle leads in this race.
Not at all. You don't think he can get up there?
I don't think he does, because trying to think about who leads. So I'll give it to Truex, Hamlin, Byron. You could throw him in as a potential leader. Larson, and Truex has been so fast on pit road. Sure, Hamlin might speed on pit road or something, but Byron's pretty much been in the top 5 this entire season throughout races. You have Larson there, obviously. My ideas or paths to Kyle getting the lead are pretty small.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll agree with you there. I still think I started out as a Kyle Busch fan, so I always gotta be a little bit overweight on him.
I was the same way with Stewart, man. His last year, I was like, I'm playing one lineup with Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
But and for those that are new, because I know I got new people watching with Jordan here, I talk more in absolutes on this show. Otherwise, I just like play a lot of lineups, play 150 lineups, play everyone, have exposure. So I really try and pin down, gun to my head what I think about folks here. Mind if I look at questions or see what anybody's wanting to wonder? Because I think we kind of talked about what we want to approach here. Let me look. Let's see. This is earlier talking about Josh Berry. Like I think Josh Berry is a terrible play today.
It's yesterday means nothing.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to bump up his exposure, so be lower on him. That's how I see it. The fact is he's still in that car, and he's never been in a Cup car before. It's not like Justin Haley has had any good races. So if you think Josh Berry is that much more talented than Justin Haley, maybe. But the only reason I could see is, if you're picking between, if it allows you to afford, like Christopher Bell instead of Tyler Reddick or something, then maybe. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't love the Josh Berry play today.
Yeah, I wouldn't get to Berry. I think if I was playing a lot of lineups, just kind of how it is. Looking at restarts, I have data from Pierce related to restarts up to Richmond. I don't have them for the last 2 races. That's Darlington and Kansas. But between the top 4 earlier in the year, I wish I had more. And restarts are tough, because when you're looking at, say, Truex, Hamlin, Byron, and Larson's going to have a higher average amount of cars passed because he's constantly starting deep in the field on restarts. Whereas you have Hamlin, basically averaging no passes on restarts, but that's because he's been running second or first the entire race. Same thing can be made with Truex, whereas Truex is actually, at least earlier in the year, he was losing more spots on restarts, but that's just, losing more spots on average is like losing 1 position on average, whereas Larson's gaining like 6 on a run. But like I said, it's because Larson's starting in the back. So looking at restart data there, I would have to give the edge to Truex if I'm answering that question.
Just looking at year to date on the NASCAR media site, Larson and Kyle Busch are a full mile an hour faster than Chase Elliott, who's 3rd on restarts speed wise this year. Mm-hmm. It's Larson, Kyle Busch, Elliott, Kez, Harvick. But that's every race. So
that's tracking speed on restarts, not necessarily positions gained, right?
Yeah. I was just going off the speed. No. Did you see that article by David Smith today about passers at Dover?
No, what did it say?
Or no, it was top passers on 750 horsepower tracks this year, taking out the road course and Bristol dirt. You got Larson, Corey LaJoie, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch. Like Larson, just think of how many cars he passed at Phoenix. So I feel like that's a little.
Yeah, like that. Sorry, go ahead.
Bowman's always starting deep in the pack. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not putting too much stock into it, but I do enjoy that. I do enjoy his analysis and looking into it.
Yeah, I'd look at Smith stuffs here and there. It goes back to kind of the point I made with looking at average positions gained. Is it's all kind of biased to where you are in the field. Like obviously, if you're deep in the field, you're going to look better on restarts than somebody who's first, technically staying first but not making any passes. Let me look here. I don't see. Let me see. I don't see teams staying out here just because you're already kind of going 2 laps down under a green flag pit stop anyway. Adding that to the amount of time you'd lose on like a track where you're doing 26-second laps, I don't see it viable to stay out unless you're hoping for a caution, kind of like how Chastain did last weekend. But I don't.
I was going to say, I can't say no, never, because Chastain did it at freaking Darlington. I could see Stenhouse doing it, but that's probably it.
Or going back, I guess I mentioned Suarez. Like Suarez would stick out as a team who has
Suarez would too. Yeah.
Yeah. If they don't have the speed, they're trying to get a caution. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. I'm not here to project who's going to get a speeding penalty on pit road.
I
can't do that.
It's probably Hamlin. I feel like Truex and Larson. I mean, Larson's turning into the new Hamlin this year, though, with his speeding penalties.
When I was watching that pit stop in stage 2 or at the end of stage 1, and I saw him racing Harvick, I was like, dude, why is Larson racing Harvick in pit road? That's speeding. Like he's going way faster than Harvick. And then sure enough, it was Harvick or Larson speeding on pit road.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll answer this kind of, Alan. You can kind of see Suarez and McDowell. I got McDowell for 19. I got Suarez for 20. I might be me being harsh on these guys, but
McDowell I got at 14 and Suarez I got at 35. So
what are you giving Suarez as a finishing position?
Let me check real quick. I think it's higher than probably it should be. 18th average, 18.3, and I got McDowell at 24.8. McDowell's just been so awful in this package and not very good at Dover. Like I don't see him doing much today at all.
If he didn't win the 500, we wouldn't even be talking about McDowell at any track. Like, did you like the way? McDowell
well, and then it didn't help when he Homestead. The what?
The wave of McDowell ownership following the 500 win, like at the road course and everything.
Yeah. Well, then he pulled off that 6th at Homestead, and yeah. He did end up 13th at Kansas, but yeah, I don't like McDowell at all under this package.
Yeah, I don't either. What do you think of Miller's question here? Because I'm kind of going more off of recent speed. Like I only use kind of track history. Like if I'm trying to choose between two drivers who are racing very similar this year, then I kind of go to track history. But what do you think of all the chalk and then looking at drivers who have been more consistent here?
The thing is, the chalk is the guys that have been most consistent here. You know, Truex, Hamlin, Larson. The only outlier that isn't chalk today would be Harvick, and it's very hard to take Harvick right now until he starts putting up any kind of Dominator points. So, one guy that is right up there, you know, last year at Dover, and then I pulled in 2017 and 2018 Dover data, would be Chase Elliott, but I hate the price on Elliott. I think he has top 5 potential, but again, he's not. I don't know what's up with that team and why they're not putting up any Dominator points ever.
So Pierce has fed my conspiracy tinfoil hat thing here, saying that if Elliott didn't go on that heater to end the season last year, would we be considering Chase? And then I was thinking, well, I wasn't considering Chase before the playoffs, and then I'm like, I still go back to him in that motor at Phoenix, like far above than the field. Like, and then I'm like, dude, I keep leaning more to NASCAR was helping that team out late in the year to give them that championship. Because I mean, look at how bad Chase is running. And sorry, I'm talking over a bit. Go ahead.
I would agree with you, except he had the best green flag speed all year. From the beginning through the entire season, Chase Elliott had the fastest car.
Yeah.
That's the only argument I can make. But yeah, there's no way his car was legal at Phoenix. There's no way.
Like, and I mean, looking at the speed here, like this year, seeing how they're struggling, I'm like, is this? I think this is Chase Elliott. Going back to kind of my bias towards Elliott, like how he's running now is, I think that's the potential of Elliott, unless he gets help.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Bell Almirola, kind of talked about that. I lean more towards Bell. I don't think Almirola is going to be 50% owned unless, I don't know, maybe if you're in a single entry or certainly a cash game. If you're playing,
I got him at 31.
Yeah, this week would suck to play cash. It sucks to play cash anyway, but this week would be horrible.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Blaney. I have Blaney. What do you have Blaney projected for? Because I'm giving him 28 fast laps, and I threw in 10 laps led. That's what I projected. That's why I have him at a 52.
So my ceiling for him is at 52. I have him projected for about 40 with average finish at 8.3 and about 10 fastest laps and 8 laps led.
Yeah, I'm giving him I'm giving him 7th place finish. So I'm kind of projecting him for a ceiling as well, or at 52, because it's so hard. Everything just points back to Hamlin and Truex. It's hard to give anybody else laps led.
Yeah. I do. I really like his price though. 8,400 for Blaney his track record isn't great here. One thing, now that I'm thinking about it, for Penske, what do you think? Do you think Logano and Keselowski not having their crew chiefs today is going to be a big factor?
So I'll throw in Benedetto in here because he's kind of a Penske affiliate, but crew chiefs missing at a racetrack doesn't bother me, especially right now, because all the cars are being prepared at the shop before they get there. Mm-hmm. All the preparation right now is like done, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday before the truck is loaded up and headed out to the racetrack. And so, for like Keselowski and Logano, if the truck or if the car shows up bad, that's what the team prepared at the track. It's not necessarily their interim crew chief right now. With that said, and that's kind of leaning back to why I'm not high on the Benedetto, Keselowski, and Logano, is because they're kind of all leaning on each other, and they've been missing a lot recently. Todd Gordon going to Blaney has really helped him out, and I think Gordon's probably the best crew chief Penske has right now.
So the only argument I can make with Logano is just how good he's been in the 750. He's not getting the Dominator points, but he's running right up there with Hamlin and Truex. Average running position of 5.1. But a lot of that was probably, Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm giving him 5th today with 12 fast laps.
He's another one that I don't hate that.
Yeah, it's just I don't like the constructions that you have to make, because it really requires one of the 3 guys that we all project to lead laps or 2 of those 3 guys really not performing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if you're building, a lineup with Logano, it's got to be, Truex leads for 300 or Larson or Hamlin, and we don't see but I mean, Dover is typically a 2 Dominator race, so
it's tough. It's tough trying
Speaking of
what?
That comment that just came in, is this a 1 Dominator race?
Yeah, it's so I was saying this last night too. When you look back at a majority of Truex's wins, it's either he gets the lead late in the race, and you can even look at this week or this year because it's kind of been, parallel to his history. He either gets the lead late in the race and leads like 20, 30 laps and wins the race, or he just goes out and kills the field. Like there's almost no in between. He either leads over a third of the race or like 20 or 30 laps.
Mm-hmm. It's almost amazing. I can't think of any other driver that has had this many just absolute dominant races as Truex has. It seems like you can always count on him for 2 or 3 a year, which is just insane. Like what he did at Darlington last week was ridiculous.
Yeah, or I remember I haven't played Truex on any of his dominating fashions, like that 600 in 2016 or 2017 when he led 394 laps. I think it was. Didn't play him there. Didn't play him last week, and he's just absolutely murdering the field. I've never played Truex on a murder streak. Yeah, I can't think of any other driver. Even Johnson back in the day, back in the day, 10 years ago. I mean, it was the Hendrick crew. They would all kind of lead in the race.
What question is that about Logano? Does he have a cup win at Dover?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say no. Let me look. Well, I'm sure you're looking it up as well. I'm going to say no.
No, he doesn't. He only has 4 top 5s and 24 starts too.
Yeah, that's rough. He's never performed well at Dover. Now I think about it. Outside of him flipping in turn 3 and 4, he doesn't really have a highlight here.
Career high in fastest laps is 16 in 2019.
Yeah, that's rough. That is rough. Let's see. Feel free to drop your questions in here, guys, because we'll probably be here for another 15 minutes, somewhere around there. So we're not just having these silent moments of trying to find things to talk about outside of Truex. Let's see. Harvick. Yeah. So what do you think of Harvick here? Like, I think he finishes. I give him 4th. But I don't think he gets any fast laps. Or I got 10 at max.
Yeah. So I got him at average finish of 4.8. But again, no down. We have yet to see any Dominator upside from him. I don't know why he'd start today. He's got Truex and Hamlin starting ahead of him. So I think if Harvick does get Dominator points today, it's going to be those 3 having issues and Kyle Busch having issues too. And probably, Chase Elliott. And that's way too many. This needs to happen for me to be too high on him. Just checking here quick. I did my 20 lineups this morning for the $4 contest, and I have 0 Harvick. Completely faded him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would, if I had to choose between Harvick or Blaney. And I like Blaney because he's cheaper. But if I had to choose between one of those guys performing better today, it's probably Blaney. Like I would choose Blaney ahead of Harvick. I'd choose Kyle Busch ahead of Harvick. I'd choose Byron ahead of Harvick. Probably Logano ahead of Harvick. He might be the last one in if I was trying to find people to go to.
Right.
Here, let me see. I guess we could talk about FanDuel a little bit. I'm not playing on FanDuel this week, but my highest projected driver on FanDuel is Eric Almirola. FanDuel always prioritizes place differential, so people like Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, Custer, Keselowski, those guys seem to be the higher ones.
Speaking of Harvick, so my optimal lineup according to my FanDuel projections today is Truex, Harvick, Logano, Almirola, and Custer.
Yeah, what's Harvick's price this week?
He's at 11.5.
How much of that? I'm trying to guess. So what is that lineup using? Like 49, 48? I don't think that's all the salary.
Let me check. I think it might be close to the full salary.
Let's see. Harvick's 11.5. Riveting discussion. I haven't looked at FanDuel all week. I'm trying to project what amount of salary it's using.
Yeah, that's using full salary.
Let's see. We kind of talked about this as well, Steven. We kind of spent the whole first 20 minutes kind of talking about this, but I guess who would be your favorite in the 6 to 7? I think it's Chastain.
Yeah, so I wrote up Chastain as a tournament play this week, but my highest projected is Suarez, and like I said, I think my projection is a little high on Suarez, but I like Chastain. I'd say those are 1A and 1B, Chastain, Suarez.
Yeah, I would say that too. Maybe Briscoe if you're like stuck and you can't afford anyone else, but that's rough. Like if you can't afford Suarez, like I suppose you're kind of forced to go Briscoe anyway. I wouldn't hate it, but man, that's rough.
Briscoe is so slow out of the gate every single time, and so whenever we're under 1.5 mile track, he can easily go 2 laps down, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and I think we're only going to have like 8 guys on the lead lap at the end of this race.
You think?
Yeah, if it goes green, I think we're going to see a lot of guys get lapped.
You're going to need that Quinn Houff going from turn 4 into the pits, taking out the leaders.
Right.
There's
that's funny.
That clutch hat trick about Bowman. I don't think we've talked about Bowman today.
Yeah, we haven't really. What is he, 98? I forgot where he's at. 92. He's 9,200. I'm giving him 55 projected points. My main concern, and it goes back to the whole Blaney and Harvick and Kyle Busch talk, is if you're playing Bowman, then you're most likely playing Truex or Hamlin to kill the field. And if one guy kills the field, then I think Bowman is optimal. If it's 2 lap leaders or even 3, I don't think Bowman works in the optimal lineup. I think he can score well, but I don't think he works in the optimal.
Yeah, so I'm just checking my lineups here quick. Bowman is getting close to being dead to me. As much as he's disappointed this year. And then he'll come out and have like that Richmond where he won. But he was inconsistent last year, and he's even worse this year. Yeah, I have no lineups. I have 30% Bowman, and I have 0 that I'm fitting in 2 of the top 3. So yeah, those lineups would be just going with a Truex, Larson, or Hamlin.
Yeah, and I think that's what people. I don't think they consider that type of stuff. Like let's say, for example, let's look at the engineer, the $15 engineer on DraftKings. So like, there's like 27,000 lineups in that. 5,800 are winning lineups. I imagine Bowman is going to be in some of those 5,800s, but in terms of a good scoring lineup or the optimal lineup, that's where it differs. Like you can have a good lineup. People score all the time without taking down GPPs. So like a lot of the place differentials will probably score well today. I don't think they'll be optimal unless, it's the one guy leading the race. But I wouldn't fault you for Bowman. If I'm playing trash cash, I'm probably playing Bowman.
Yeah, it's like single entry, or like 3 max. I'm fading Bowman, just because I feel like a lot of people are going to be on him this week, because he has 3 top 5s in the last 4 Dover races. So one, you can't fit a lineup with 2 dominators in it, two probable dominators in it, and 2, he's been so disappointing this year. He just seems to always find a way to screw up a race. And 3, he's not getting dominator points, 1, in this package or at Dover. So I don't like being in a position of relying solely on place differential, unless, he's starting 35th or whatever, but he's starting 16th. So yeah, strategy wise, I'd go under on Bowman, for sure.
Yeah, I think what's really pushing him up, and why I would play him in cash. Like I said, I don't play cash, but he's a pretty safe play. And if you look at his track history, obviously you just said he had 3 top 5s in his last 6 races. But if you look in terms of DFS, where's he been in terms of DraftKings points? He had the 5th highest amount of points in the fall race last year, 25th in the first race, on the Saturday race. And then in 2019 in the fall race, he had the 4th amount of DraftKings points, and then the 3rd amount in the spring race. So a lot of things point to Bowman, but that's when he had more place differential, or he was able to get more fast laps in those races. I don't see that coming in this race for him.
Mm-mm. No, me neither.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bowman has costed everybody. Well, I can't say that. I won when he won Auto Club. I had him there. That's when I tied for first in that contest. But I've been burned by Bowman. I'm pretty sure everybody has at some point.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Yeah. Especially with how much we play him. Like when you're playing Bowman and Bell every week, you're gonna get burned more times than not.
I will say, I'll note on here, and I tweeted it out before we went live. My jinx. So my bets have like an 80% jinx rate. If I bet a guy to win, he gets jinxed. And I bet Bowman this week. So just FYI for anybody watching.
There you go. That's funny. That's fine. I don't. What's weird is I always project laps led and kind of finishing position, but I never go out of my way to be like, okay, I project this guy to win. Like when people ask me, I'm just like, okay, I guess Truex or Larson or something like that. I'm always looking more at like the fantasy aspect versus the end of who wins the race, especially when there's cautions that late in the race.
Yeah. I really don't like betting, guys to win. I'll do head to heads and stuff, and I might, like if someone has really good odds, like Chase Elliott 10-1 today, I think is pretty good odds. But no, I'm all focused. I'm like you. I'm focused on fantasy and DFS.
Yeah, or if I'd probably do top 3 odds for top 3s if it was legal here in Texas, but that's probably all I would do. I don't think I'd really touch to win. That's just me. Let's see. We're getting close to an hour. Is there anything else that you kind of want to talk about or touch on, since the questions are kind of drying up like water in the Mojave?
I'm just looking, see if we missed anything. There was a question: how do you justify playing this horrible $7 contest on FanDuel? I'm not.
Yeah. That's
how I've justified it. I'm not playing it.
Yeah, that's the decision I made as well. I'm not sponsored or anything. DraftKings has by far the best DFS product out there, and the contests for FanDuel are always horrible unless it's at the start of the season or it's the NFL. FanDuel cares about their sports book more, and that's okay, but I don't like their contests for DFS.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of fun, and I don't think many people do. Just judging by my site traffic and stuff, FanDuel's always the lowest viewed.
And there's a lot of chops up. Like there's always ties for first. It's almost never a solo takedown as
Right.
well.
Chase to the rear. Looks like he failed inspection.
Oh, good for him. So he's cheating. I'm not playing Chase to begin with, but telling you, man, he need to find that speed. What did it? Let me look. Why did he go to the back?
I wonder who. Okay, so Pockers just tweeted Elliott among those going to the rear today. Is there multiple? Did multiple people fail?
Dude, I hate NASCAR reporters. I hate they like.
Oh, I could go on for hours about Jim Utter and Chris Knight.
Well, we could. I'm sure people like when I rant. Now I got you here. We can complain about these guys as well. But like, I mean, that doesn't do anything for us here. Like among those,
what's with Larson's? I'm looking at Pockers's tweets now. What's with his pit stall selection? He picked the third one in with no. He's got back markers around him, but that seems like a dumb. Is he trying not to speed?
Well, no, it's because that's good because the back markers around him because he has the third one in. So he has Bilicki in front of him, Alfredo behind him, and Byron as the first pit stall. If everything goes well, Alfredo and Bilicki should be lapped. And so whenever they pit on the lead with the leaders, Larson has the stall in front of him open and the stall behind him open since Alfredo and Bilicki can't pit the first time the leaders do.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you rather take yeah, you're right. Yeah, because everybody else that has an opening has like Blaney up there. He has an opening. He has a clean entrance, but he has Barry in front of him.
Yeah, okay. So like same thing with Byron. That's why Byron always likes the first stall anyway, but he has Alfredo in front of him and he won't have to worry about him late in the race.
Right. Yeah.
Let me look. Are they saying Barry to the rear as well?
Yeah, he'll go to the rear because of switching.
Oh, yeah, duh. Big duh. Let's look.
I always have to remind people that Chase Elliott will be scored from 8th. He will not be scored from the rear.
Yes. Oh, and if he wins the race and fails post-race inspection, he still wins the race on DraftKings. You know. Let's see. What else? I think we've talked about everything we can relate to fantasy. Otherwise, we'll just start ranting for about an hour. So let me see if I missed anything over here. And I don't think I have. So we're probably gonna end it here.
Sterling, right. I don't think we're underestimating Blaney today at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anything, I think we're probably higher on Blaney than other people are.
Yeah, and Bowman, I just think strategy-wise, if he leads, then I'm going to look like an idiot. But
oh man, that's just how it is. That's how it is, man. Not everybody wins the same. Like if you win or tie for 1 GPP a year, that's a pretty good year in DFS wise.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell. Like, I usually stick to high dollar contests, and I'll play like the mini max just to mess around with the 150 lineups, but I don't put like a ton of time into it. But yeah, I always tell like a lot of my friends, I'll be like, if I profit 30% of the year, I'm happy because that means I had a really good year, and I'll take those 70% losses because that's just how I play.
Yeah,
I don't play to double my money. I play to win a bunch and then lose a bunch for next week.
Yeah, or like I mean, all this money is stuff I can afford to lose. Like if I was betting my house on stuff, I don't think that'd be the wisest thing to do. But anytime I deposit on any side, I just assume that money is lost.
Yep, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's. Oh yeah, I mean, well, Hamlin was a fade to begin with, or not Hamlin. Play Hamlin. Elliott was a fade to begin with. But I certainly don't like him here. But yeah, you can find Jordan at fantasyracingonline.com. His links are in the description as well as mine. You can follow him on Twitter. I would advise you follow him on Twitter. Like, if you're certainly missing out on certainly good information. Do you do everything for free, right? You were telling me that?
Yep, everything's free.
I mean, that's the way to go, guys. You got to support people who put out good content, certainly for free. It's certainly better bang for your buck than paying for other sites, at least in my mind. Let's see. I think that's about it. We're probably going to end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. And if Jordan doesn't hate me after this, we're probably going to try and do it next week as well and see how long we can keep this going.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right, cool.
I'd love to be on.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to be here. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys next time.